Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something that may challenge your habits, but it will protect your purpose. Do not be so accessible. Value is a principle that we often misunderstand. In a world where access is endless and availability is a mere click away, we've lost sight of the very thing that makes us valuable: scarcity. Think about it. When something is rare, it is sought after. The rarer it is, the more people desire it. It's a basic human instinct. Think about precious gems, the rarest of metals, or even a limited edition item. When something is hard to get, people want it more. Now, let's translate that concept into your life. Your value isn't determined by how easy it is to find you or how quickly someone can reach you. The more accessible you are, the less weight your presence carries. If you're constantly available to everyone, you begin to lose the depth of your worth. Your energy, your time, your expertise. Everything that makes you who you are becomes diluted because people begin to take it for granted. And that's a tragedy, because your time, your effort, your knowledge, they are precious commodities that should be treated as such. Think about this. The person who constantly answers the phone in the middle of the night, who is always responding to every text message, who shows up to every event, who gives everyone a piece of their attention, eventually becomes someone who's taken for granted. People know they can always get a hold of you, so they stop respecting your time. They start to think of you as a convenience, not as a valuable resource. And when you become a convenience, your worth begins to shrink. This is why you must set boundaries, because the moment you allow yourself to be too accessible, you diminish the value of your presence. This concept of scarcity in value is especially evident in the marketplace. Think about high-end brands or luxury products. What makes them expensive? It's the scarcity. There is a limited supply, and therefore the demand increases. People are willing to pay top dollar because they know that they can't just walk into any store and find it. The same principle applies to your life and your time. You must make yourself scarce to make yourself valuable. You don't need to be available to every person who calls or sends a message. You don't need to attend every social gathering or event. What you need to do is protect your time and your energy. When you do this, when you allow yourself to be sought after, your value increases exponentially. Now, let's go deeper into why scarcity works. When you make yourself less available, people begin to respect you more. They know that your time is precious, and they will start to treat it as such. They won't take your presence for granted, because they understand that you're not just sitting around waiting for them. When you're not easily accessible, people have to earn your time and attention, and that process of earning your time, that's what builds respect. People will start to see that you're serious about your work, your life, and your purpose. They will begin to understand that you are not someone who can be easily used or manipulated. They'll know that in order to engage with you, they have to bring something of value to the table. This doesn't mean you become cold, unapproachable, or rude. Not at all. It simply means that you recognize your worth, and you set boundaries to protect that worth. When you become more deliberate about who you give your time to, and when you choose to engage, people will not only respect your time, but they will also appreciate you more. They will see you as a person who values themselves, and that will increase your standing in their eyes. The other benefit of creating scarcity in your life is that it forces you to become more intentional. When you're available all the time, you tend to fill up your schedule with busy work, with meaningless conversations, and with events that don't move you toward your purpose. But when you make yourself less accessible, you create space to focus on what truly matters. You get to prioritize your time, invest in your goals, and nurture your passions. This is where your real growth happens, not in the moments when you're available to everyone, but in the moments when you choose to be unavailable to the distractions and the noise that try to pull you away from your vision. Being unavailable for the wrong things doesn't just make you scarce, it makes you purposeful. Your life becomes a curated experience where everything you do is aligned with your mission and your calling. And let me tell you, this is a life of power. A life where every yes you give is intentional, where every choice you make is a step toward fulfilling your destiny. Scarcity, then, is not just a tool for protecting your time, it's a strategy for success. It's a way of positioning yourself to be seen, to be respected, and to be valued. When you're not everywhere at once, you make an impact wherever you go. And when you show up, people will know that your presence is something worth appreciating. You have to remember that your value is not in your accessibility. Your value is in your scarcity. The less available you are, the more precious you become. Your time, your energy, your presence. These are all valuable assets that deserve to be protected. And when you start valuing yourself, others will follow suit. There's a truth that many people fail to recognize when it comes to relationships, whether personal or professional. Too much access breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds contempt. It's a simple yet profound concept, one that speaks to the heart of how we relate to others and how we allow others to relate to us. When we are always available, when we give people constant access to our time, our energy, and our presence, we begin to lose the respect that should be reserved for those who are worthy of it. In other words, when you make yourself too accessible, you begin to lose your power in the relationship, and the relationship itself becomes less meaningful. Think about it this way: when you're constantly available to people, they start to take you for granted. They don't see you as someone valuable, someone worthy of special consideration. Instead, you become another face in the crowd. Your value diminishes because your presence is no longer rare. The novelty of who you are wears off because you've made yourself so easily accessible. It's human nature to become complacent when something or someone is always within reach. Think about how you might treat an object that's always available, perhaps a tool or a piece of technology that's always on hand. At first you appreciate it, but over time you stop recognizing its worth because it's just always there. People do the same with you. This idea is incredibly important in relationships because people don't value what they don't have to work for. When you make yourself constantly available, whether by answering every call, responding to every text, attending every meeting, or being at everyone's beck and call, you create a dynamic where your time and energy are never respected. You become a resource that's always on demand. But people don't respect things that are always at their disposal. Instead, they come to expect it. They don't appreciate it anymore. It becomes an assumption that you will always be there. When you're always accessible, others start to feel entitled to your time. They expect you to drop everything to meet their needs. And when you consistently say yes to these demands, you reinforce the idea that your time has no boundaries. But here's the truth. Your time is your most precious resource. When you give it away freely without discernment, you show others that you don't value it. And over time, they stop valuing it as well. Familiarity leads to complacency, and complacency leads to contempt. This is why it's so important to create boundaries in your relationships. Boundaries don't just protect you from being drained by others. They protect the respect that others should have for you. When you set limits, when you say no, or when you step back from being available all the time, you communicate to others that your time and energy are valuable, that they can't just access you whenever they feel like it. And when people begin to understand that your time is limited, they begin to treat it with more respect. They will start to see your presence as something that should be cherished, not something that's always there for the taking. Now, this doesn't mean that you should be rude or unkind. You don't have to shut people out or become cold-hearted. But what you must do is be intentional about how you give of yourself. You must be strategic. When you reserve your time and energy for the things and people that truly matter, you create a sense of exclusivity around your presence. This exclusivity doesn't breed arrogance or entitlement. Instead, it creates a space where your interactions are meaningful and purposeful. Consider your role in any given relationship. Whether it's personal, familial, or professional, the balance of accessibility should be managed carefully. If you're always available to your friends or family, always showing up at every event, always answering every call, you become a default. They don't have to think about it anymore. They just expect you to be there. But when you make yourself less accessible, when you step back and allow people to miss you, they begin to see the value of your presence. The same is true in professional settings. If you're always at the office, always answering emails at all hours of the night, always available for every meeting, you risk losing the respect of your colleagues and superiors. They begin to think, oh, they'll always be there. And they stop valuing the work that you do because you've conditioned them to believe that your time is limitless. However, when you manage your accessibility, when you step back and only engage when it matters, people will start to recognize your contribution as important. They will begin to respect you as someone who is not just present, but purposefully present. Familiarity breeds contempt because when something becomes ordinary, it loses its ability to inspire awe. Think about a beautiful piece of artwork you admire. The first time you see it, it takes your breath away. But over time, if you see it every day without change or variety, the impact it once had on you diminishes. The same thing happens with people. If they are always there, always accessible, they no longer hold the same weight in your life. This principle isn't just about protecting your time. It's about protecting the essence of who you are. When you allow yourself to become too familiar, you lose the mystique that draws others to you. You lose the element of surprise that makes your interactions valuable. You become just another face in the crowd, and that's a disservice to you, to your relationships, and to your purpose. So remember this. When you are always accessible, you diminish your impact. When you step back, when you allow yourself to be unavailable at times, you create an aura of respect and value. People will begin to appreciate your presence because they'll realize that it's not something they can take for granted. They'll learn to cherish you, and they'll respect the boundaries you set. And that's when your relationships, your time, and your energy will have real value. There's a subtle but powerful distinction between living for popularity and living for purpose. Too often, people get caught up in the pursuit of popularity, always wanting to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. It feels good to be popular, to have people constantly affirming your worth. But here's the thing, popularity doesn't always equate to progress. In fact, the more you chase after popularity, the more likely you are to lose sight of the very purpose you were meant to fulfill. Popularity is an external validation. It's about what other people think of you. It's about being liked, accepted, and celebrated. There's nothing inherently wrong with being liked or accepted. We all have a natural desire to be seen and appreciated, but the danger comes when you begin to live your life solely for the purpose of pleasing others and gaining their approval. When your actions are driven by the desire to be popular, you start to lose your sense of direction. You start to expend your energy on things that may look good on the surface, but do not align with your true purpose. Purpose, on the other hand, is internal. It comes from within you and is driven by your values, your calling, and your vision for your life. Purpose is not concerned with external validation or popularity contests. Purpose is about fulfillment, meaning, and making a difference. When you are connected to your purpose, you are grounded. You understand that not everyone needs to approve of you or understand you. You are not looking for applause or recognition because you know that your work has value, even if the world doesn't always see it in the moment. The problem with living for popularity is that it can be draining. It requires constant attention, constant effort to maintain your image, and constant affirmation from others. This is an exhausting cycle that leaves you feeling empty inside. When you live for the approval of others, you are essentially giving away your energy to things that may not help you move forward. Every time you focus on being popular, you are diverting your attention from your purpose, and over time, this depletion takes its toll. But when you preserve your energy for purpose, when you focus on the things that truly matter, your vision, your goals, your calling, you protect your strength and vitality. You stop squandering your time on distractions and start channeling your energy into things that will help you grow, improve, and make an impact. Living for purpose means that you are willing to say no to things that drain you, even if those things are popular or socially acceptable. It means setting boundaries that protect your time and energy so that you can focus on what really matters. One of the biggest challenges people face when trying to live for purpose is the pressure to conform. In today's world, where social media amplifies the desire for approval, it's easy to fall into the trap of living for likes, shares, and comments. People can become so fixated on what others think of them that they lose track of their own dreams and aspirations. This is where the danger lies. If you are constantly looking outside of yourself for validation, you will never be able to hear your own inner voice. You will never be able to focus on the work that you are called to do because you are too busy trying to keep up with the expectations of others. Preserving your energy for purpose means making a conscious decision to stop living for the approval of others and start living for your own growth and fulfillment. It means focusing on the things that will push you closer to your goals, even if those things are not the most popular or trendy. When you start living for purpose, you become intentional with your time and your energy. You start to prioritize the things that will move you forward, and you stop wasting time on things that do not serve your greater vision. This doesn't mean you have to isolate yourself from others or shut down your social life. What it means is that you must be discerning about where you invest your energy. Not everything and everyone deserves your time. There will always be people, opportunities, and distractions that try to pull you off course. But if you are clear on your purpose, you will have the strength to say no. You will have the confidence to turn down the things that do not align with your purpose and say yes to the things that do. It's also important to note that living for purpose often requires sacrifice. It's not always easy to say no to things that seem appealing or exciting in the moment. Popularity can be seductive. It can feel like you're missing out when you're not participating in the latest trends or social events. But living for purpose means making decisions that are aligned with your long-term vision, even if they don't come with immediate rewards or recognition. You may not always get the praise you deserve, but you will get the peace of knowing that you are walking in your calling. Preserving your energy for purpose also means taking care of yourself. If you are constantly giving your energy to things that drain you or do not align with your goals, you will eventually burn out. Self-care is not selfish. It is necessary for sustaining your purpose. You cannot fulfill your calling if you are exhausted or overwhelmed by the demands of others. By protecting your energy, by saying no to distractions, and by focusing on your purpose, you are ensuring that you have the strength to continue on the path that has been set before you. In the end, the choice is yours. You can either continue to live for the approval and validation of others, or you can preserve your energy for your purpose. The first will lead to a cycle of exhaustion, frustration, and emptiness. The second will lead to fulfillment, growth, and meaningful progress. Living for purpose means that you are willing to do the hard work, even when it's not popular, because you know that the rewards will come in due time. So, protect your energy, guard your purpose, and live a life that is rooted in what truly matters. One of the most powerful tools in anyone's life, whether in business, personal growth, or relationships, is the ability to set boundaries. Boundaries are not just about keeping people at arm's length or saying no to certain things. They are about protecting your vision, your purpose, and your future. Without boundaries, you risk becoming distracted, diluted, and disconnected from the very thing that gives your life meaning, your vision. In fact, boundaries are the walls that protect your purpose. They allow you to stay focused, to avoid distractions, and to conserve your energy for what truly matters. Vision is the driving force behind everything you do. It's the picture of your future, the blueprint for your life, the thing that keeps you moving forward even when times get tough. But vision is fragile. It requires focus, commitment, and clarity. The moment you let your attention be divided, the moment you begin to say yes to every opportunity or demand, you weaken that vision. This is why boundaries are so essential. They keep you focused on what's important, and they help you resist the constant pull of distractions that want to take you off course. Think of boundaries as the protective fence around your garden of dreams. If you don't establish a boundary, your garden is vulnerable to weeds, pests, and storms. But when you put a fence around it, you are protecting your crops, your hopes, your goals, your aspirations. Boundaries serve the same purpose in your life. They act as a safeguard against the distractions, negative influences, and people who would otherwise pull you away from your vision. Without them, it becomes far too easy to allow external forces to dictate your actions and choices. Boundaries are particularly crucial when it comes to protecting your time. Time is the one resource we can never get back, and if you are not careful with how you spend it, it will slip through your fingers. Every moment you spend on things that do not align with your vision is a moment you can never reclaim. That's why you have to be intentional about how you allocate your time. If you're constantly available to everyone, constantly responding to every need, you will have no time left for the things that truly matter. The more time you give away to others, the less time you have for your own goals, your own growth, and your own purpose. Boundaries also protect you from negative energy. There will always be people in your life, whether they are friends, family members, or colleagues, who do not understand your vision. They may try to pull you into their drama, criticize your choices, or simply distract you from your goals. When you set clear boundaries, you establish the distance necessary to preserve your mental and emotional well-being. Not every conversation or interaction deserves your attention, and not every person deserves your energy. By setting boundaries, you can maintain a healthy distance from negative influences and ensure that you are only investing in relationships and situations that uplift and encourage you. Another critical role of boundaries is in maintaining your focus. Focus is everything when it comes to achieving your vision. If you allow yourself to be pulled in 1,000 different directions, you lose the power of focused effort. Vision requires discipline. It requires you to make tough choices, to say no to things that seem appealing but ultimately take you away from your purpose. Boundaries give you the ability to say no to the things that don't serve your greater goals, and yes to the things that move you closer to your vision. One of the toughest things about setting boundaries is the fear of rejection or the fear of being misunderstood. People may not always understand why you need to set limits. They may see your boundaries as selfish or as a sign of disinterest. But what you must remember is that boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about preserving your ability to give. You can't give your best to others if you are constantly drained by their demands. You can't serve your community, your family, or your business if you don't first serve your own vision. Think about a time when you've had to prioritize your vision over someone else's request. Maybe you had to say no to a social event in order to focus on a project that was important to you. Maybe you had to turn down an opportunity that, on the surface, seemed like a good fit, but you knew deep down that it didn't align with your long-term goals. In those moments, setting boundaries was not about being selfish. It was about being intentional with your energy and your focus. And that's exactly what you need to do in order to protect your vision. Every yes to someone or something else is a no to yourself and your vision. Setting boundaries also helps you manage the expectations of others. When you are always available and always accommodating, people begin to expect you to drop everything for them. And while it's great to be helpful and considerate, you cannot allow others to dictate your priorities. You must establish clear expectations about what you are willing and able to give, and be unapologetic about sticking to those boundaries. This doesn't mean you don't care about others. It means you care enough about your vision and your purpose to guard them with your life. As you build and grow, you'll encounter more opportunities, more people, and more challenges. And with each new opportunity, the importance of boundaries becomes even more apparent. The more you say yes to things that don't align with your vision, the more you dilute your focus and energy. But when you say no to distractions, when you set clear limits on your time and energy, you create the space needed to fully pursue your dreams and fulfill your purpose. In the end, boundaries are not walls that isolate you from others. They are the gates that allow you to enter into the right relationships, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances. They protect your vision, your time, and your energy. Without boundaries, your life will be at the mercy of external forces. But with boundaries, you will have the power to direct your life, to shape your future, and to protect the vision that you are working so hard to bring to life. One of the most liberating truths you can embrace in life is the realization that you are not for everyone. It's easy to get caught up in the desire to be liked by everyone, to please everyone, to fit in with every group, and to be accepted in every circle. But the truth is, when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to anyone. In trying to gain the approval of all, you dilute the unique qualities that make you who you are, and you lose your true sense of identity. This idea might sound freeing, but it's also deeply powerful. When you realize that not everyone will understand you, not everyone will appreciate your value, and not everyone will be drawn to you, it removes the pressure to constantly seek approval. It takes the weight off your shoulders and allows you to breathe freely, knowing that it's okay if not everyone is your biggest fan. In fact, it's a good thing when you stop trying to fit into every mold, because it frees you up to live authentically and to build the kind of life and relationships that align with your true self. The desire to be accepted by everyone is often rooted in insecurity and the fear of rejection. We all want to feel valued, to be seen, to be acknowledged for our contributions and our uniqueness. But seeking universal approval can be a trap. It's a never-ending cycle that exhausts your emotional resources and distracts you from your true purpose. When you seek validation from others, you are giving away your power. You become reliant on external sources for your self-worth, and that puts you at the mercy of other people's opinions. It means you are constantly adjusting who you are based on what you think others want to see, and in the process, you lose yourself. The reality is that not everyone will see your value, and that's perfectly fine. Not everyone is going to like what you do or how you do it. There will always be critics, doubters, and people who misunderstand your intentions. But here's the truth you need to hold onto. Their opinion of you does not define who you are. Your worth is not dependent on how many people approve of you, how many followers you have, or how many likes you get on social media. Your value is inherent, and it is not diminished by the opinions of others. When you stop trying to be everything to everyone, you free yourself to focus on the people and the relationships that truly matter. You begin to attract the right kind of people, those who resonate with your purpose, your vision, and your values. These are the people who will support you in your growth, who will encourage you to be the best version of yourself, and who will stand by you even when the world doesn't understand you. These are the relationships that will help you thrive, not the ones that demand constant validation and approval. In every area of life, you will encounter people who are not a good fit for you. This is true in friendships, professional relationships, and even family dynamics. There will always be individuals who don't understand your journey or your choices, and that's okay. You don't need to justify your life to them. You don't need to explain why you do what you do or why you are the way you are. When you are clear on your purpose, your values, and your vision, you no longer need to seek approval from those who cannot see your worth. This doesn't mean you should become arrogant or dismissive of others. You don't have to shut yourself off from people who may have a different perspective, but it does mean you should stop trying to win over people who are not aligned with who you are. Trying to please everyone leads to an exhausting and unsustainable lifestyle. It's a constant tug-of-war between your authentic self and the version of yourself that others expect you to be. The more you try to live up to others' expectations, the further you get from your true self. When you embrace the fact that you are not for everyone, you begin to experience freedom. You give yourself permission to be who you truly are without apology. You stop looking for external validation and start seeking internal peace. You no longer measure your success by how many people approve of you or how many people follow you. Instead, you measure it by how true you are to yourself, how aligned you are with your purpose, and how deeply you are impacting the lives of those who truly matter. This mindset shift also allows you to become more intentional in your interactions with others. You don't waste your time and energy trying to convince people who don't see your value. Instead, you focus on building meaningful connections with those who resonate with your mission and who can grow alongside you. You stop diluting your energy on people who are not meant to walk with you, and you begin to invest in relationships that nurture your growth. Moreover, recognizing that you are not for everyone also teaches you the power of discernment. You learn to be selective about where you invest your time, your emotions, and your efforts. You become more aware of the people, environments, and opportunities that align with your values and goals. The more you accept that you are not for everyone, the more you realize that you don't have to compromise your authenticity just to fit in. You have the freedom to let go of relationships that drain you or hold you back from reaching your potential. At the end of the day, the people who truly matter will understand you. They will appreciate your uniqueness, your flaws, your quirks, and your authenticity. They won't need you to conform to any standard other than the one you set for yourself. And when you stop trying to please everyone, you create the space for these meaningful connections to flourish. So, remember, you are not for everyone, and that's not just okay. It's more than okay, it's a blessing. It means you can walk in your purpose, stay true to your values, and attract the right people into your life. The more you embrace this truth, the more peace you will find in your journey. In conclusion, remember this powerful truth. You are not meant to be everything to everyone, and that is your strength, not your weakness. As you navigate through life, you will encounter distractions, criticism, and demands that seek to pull you in every direction. But if you stay rooted in your purpose, hold firm to your boundaries, and conserve your energy for what truly matters, you will discover a life that is purposeful, powerful, and authentic. Embrace the power of discernment. Recognize that not every opportunity, not every person, and not every request deserves your time, your attention, or your energy. Learn to say no with confidence, knowing that saying no to the wrong things is making room for the right things in your life. Remember, your vision is yours alone to protect. You are called to walk a unique path, and that path may not always align with the expectations or desires of those around you. But as long as you stay true to your purpose, honor your boundaries, and protect your energy, you will find fulfillment that goes beyond popularity and approval. At the end of the day, the goal is not to be liked by everyone. It is to be the person you are meant to be. So, stand tall, guard your vision, and know that your worth is not determined by the opinions of others. You are here for a reason, and as long as you keep your focus on that reason, you will walk with purpose, peace, and power. You are not for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. Stay true to your vision. The world needs the authentic version of you, not the diluted one trying to meet the expectations of others. Keep moving forward with strength and clarity, and know that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments will find you. Your purpose is your power, and when you protect it, you will achieve greatness.